Thank you for staying with us. Let's now take you through the front pages of Nigerian newspapers to see what the headlines are this Wednesday morning. And we'll return for a quick analysis after we see what will be there. The Nation newspaper is showing us the way today. And right about there, Kuka is saying why Nigeria should not be linked to religious genocide. We'll tell you exactly what the revered bishop had to say about that. The same matter on News Direct this morning. This time around on Khan is replying to the federal government, Christian genocide is real. Bring perpetrators to justice. I absolutely could not agree more. But we move now to prison matters. And this Nigeria is showing us something here. Defile a minor, get life sentence. The Senate is approving that. About time, really. We'll talk about that to let you know exactly what is going on there. The Daily Times is also running on this leg. Defilement of minor. Senate recommends life imprisonment without the option of fine. Sounds right about good. The Platform Times is also on the same matter. No mercy for pedophiles. Senate votes life jail for child defilers. I'm always wondering what's attractive about that. But we'll talk when we get to that point. The Leadership newspaper is taking us a little bit on politics right here today. And this is on APC. Disquiet over possible tenure extension for all Progressives Congress executives. This is internal politics, y'all. But we'll talk when we get there. And a little bit to matters that concerns Nigerians' car inspection. This is on the Daily Independent this morning. Deadly shortcuts, the corruption-ridden Nigeria's vehicle inspections. Oh boy, I have a lot to say about this. But the matter of tanker explosion, which we just discussed a few seconds ago on the Daily Trust this morning. Women, children killed in another Niger tanker explosion. Sad one right there. And something to be a little bit excited about. 5G access. The Guardian newspaper is showing us right the 5G promise fades as pricey phones services shut out poor Nigerians. In other words, if you can't afford the phone that can get a 5G, okay. The Sport and Life is where we always round the curtains up. And today on the Sporting Life right there, Zurich, Lukman performs well as striker. Etoma. Bishop Kuka, I think, has performed well by asking that Nigeria should not be linked to religious genocide. The writer here says we need support to crush terrorists, not labeling.
So what Bishop Hassan Kuka is saying is that we are not saying there's nothing, absolutely no genocide. What we're saying that shouldn't be the narrative. The narrative should be that America or any other country, Western country that's criticizing Nigeria as far as genocide is concerned, should be giving us support on how to tackle the menace and not make the one that is irrelevant the big story to bring down the image of the country. So when you look at that statement very well, you see that it somehow aligns with what Khan is saying.
Yes. Indeed, and Ibrahim, right about that on the Nigerian News Direct, Khan is saying, bring perpetrators to justice. Of course, they're speaking to the federal government, not to the ones outside who are giving us a tag on that. And I couldn't agree more with Khan.
It
should be the case.
Yeah, so that should be the case. But I totally agree. Disagree with the narrative that there is genocide in Nigeria. I mean, if you want to talk about genocide, look at what is happening in Israel and Gaza. You see that people are being bombed, carpet bombing, indiscriminate killing of over 200 journalists. So whatever is happening in Nigeria is a problem that is affecting us all, whether you're Muslim, whether you're Christian, whether you're an atheist or an animist, whatever it is that you profess, people are being killed. If you look at the north, Borno, Nasarawa, Yobe, look at Niger, look at most of those states, they have majority Muslims. So when they shoot, when they get into the markets, when Boko Haram held sway, whenever they threw the bomb into the market, it wasn't only Christians that were in the market.
Yeah.
There were different people with different faiths. Some are not even, so when we come to ethnicity, when it comes to tribalism, when it comes to religion, we should be very careful with the kind of narrative that we allow this West or any other part of the world who are always seeking domination. We should be careful with kind of narrative that they push forward. These are same people that are denying genocidal actions going on between Israel and Gaza, right? And the same people are now telling us, it's so good that we have someone like a Trump advisor, Masad Bolos, who met with the president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, saying that no, he disagreed with that, with Ted Cruz, Senator
with
Ted Cruz,
narrative,
that narrative. People are being killed. Yes, that's a fact. So we need to do something as a government, as a country, to stem the tide of killings, because that is so sad. So there is that division. We should not allow these people to come add that oil of manipulations, because what? They want to break into Nigeria and make Nigeria ungovernable.
So, Olamide, this is not about naming anything. It's about handling the problem at its roots. And the problem here is that Nigerians are getting killed by terrorists.
Absolutely. Ibrahim, you've just raised a very pertinent point that actually moved me. The importance of storytelling. Yeah. When you slap a label on something, you decide its fate. That's right. I don't think that us that are pushing the narrative online, on social media, to those of you watching, I don't think you understand the implications of this narrative on Nigeria and in Nigeria.
That's right.
This could bring about a war. It could bring about a retaliation of sorts that we've never seen. It is dangerous, this narrative. Although I will say, on the other hand, it's a chance for our government to act decisively. It's a chance for our government to act with empathy. The reason that this is happening is because there are many communities that feel unseen and unheard. They're saying we are being killed, and they happen to be Christian communities. Right. And so the moment the government acts in empathy, I think it will do a lot to put a salve on what is going on here. When I think that when you have a narrative on something, it's not a chance to go back and forth in semantics. It's a chance for us to collectively change that narrative. That's right. That's right. We have an opportunity here to tell the world that there is no genocide happening in Nigeria. There's division here, but there's no genocide. Those are two very different things. And the moment that we understand that distinction, the safer we will be.
But Ibrahim and Etoma, y'all would excuse me a second. Let me give Olamide the opportunity to react to this matter. If we can go back to the Nation newspaper right there. There's a picture story I saw earlier, and it's quite exciting. It's been making the rounds. I don't know if that's on trending now today. The vice president and this beautiful young lady who was given the opportunity to sit in as the vice president of Nigeria for one day.
I believe her name is Joy Oga.
Joy Oga, yes.
Oga. I was lovely to watch. We're going to discuss it more later on Trending Now. But people, there's so much power in symbolism. Yeah. And I remember that I saw the photos yesterday, and the vice president said, he called her, he said, you can have a seat here. He sat aside for her, and that's very, very symbolic. It's him saying, not only are we welcoming young people into power and into participation in politics, but young women as well. If we look at 100 years ago, Nigerian women, we were not where we are now. We were not where we are
and
now.
I would applaud
today. She's alone. She doesn't have the support to push
what
women.
This would do to this young girl.
Absolutely.
Going forward from this.
The messaging to not just her, but all the other people that are watching her. I say good on you, sir, for doing that.
Well, Lamide, you've had your flowers. Let's then go to this Nigeria as we talk about this prison matters, Etoma. The Senate seems to be talking tough now on anybody who is thinking to defile a child.
Pedophilia for me is the lowest form of madness.
I mean,
it is a psychological state that I can't just imagine. What is attractive about little children? So if you find yourself doing that, and they throw you in prison, in a Nigerian prison, let's underline that, where you have to spend the rest of it. Yes, that should be enough deterrent. For me, this would have come like 20, 30 years ago, but it's coming now, so we're happy. Pedophilia is the worst kind of debased madness, and it should be dealt with decisively. So I'm 110% with the Senate on this.
Ibrahim, the Daily Times is saying here, the Senate is recommending life imprisonment without an option of fine.
That's an improvement of the previous penalty, according to the penal code of Nigeria. So I think it's a good one. But I would have loved it if the penalty would be surgical removal of that penile organ that they misused.
So you can no
so that you will no longer have
whether
to,
big or small.
because by the time they take you into the prison, you can still go ahead and commit much more. I'm trying to fumble for the words to use, not to be very careful. But I think it's a way to go, because I do not see how a reasonable person. Well, pedophilia is a mental disorder, just mental condition. So, and some are just naturally just crazy when it comes to seeing children. You have brothels there, you have motels there, you have places, adults that you can talk to, you have whatever it is, at least get married.
So
if
some
you're
are
crazy.
just naturally mentally disordered.
And we should also expand it to child marriage as well. People who are getting married to underage, saying, yeah, it's a culture and all of that. We need to stem that tide of people getting married to children. So they should debate that too and add it to these acts.
And I just want to quickly point out very quickly here that the legislation sets the standard. It says this is the penalty for, and in this case, life imprisonment for defiling a child. Legislation sets the standard, and that is good. But the real work is in our home. The real work is in our home, how we protect the children around us, the safeguards that we put in place for them to make them feel safe, the watchful eye and the awareness that we create at home. And I will say this, it's also important. They said, life imprisonment for defilement of a child. But what do we conceptualize as a child? Because you can say, a child is 16, is anything less than 16. The conceptualization of a child is very, very important. So I want that put into legislation as well. What do we conceptualize as a child?
It is 18.
18.
That's so anything below 18 is a child.
That's all I want to know.
Right.
Which, of course, the platform time is saying no mercy for that. Jail votes life jail for child defilers. Well, let's wait to see if this would be passed into law to become sacrosanct. So anybody who goes on that line, boy, when you get it, you ain't coming out. But the leadership newspaper is talking politics this morning, Etoma. And what we see right here sounds a little bit different. Disquiet over possible tenure extension for All Progressives Congress executive. And they're saying we'll deliberate it in appropriate time. The governors of the bloc are saying this.
Look, there will be disquiet when some people have been, gearing up, getting really ready and say, I'm going to be the next chairman, I'm going to be the next this. And you're hearing tenure long. Why? There definitely will be disquiet. However, APC has a track record of taking care of internal problems in a creative way. Yes, I think creative should suffice here, So I don't think it's going to expand more than it is right now. Now, the fact that the thing has gotten to a point where it will be on the dailies is bad enough. APC will do something about it, and before it's not going to be one of those, how do I call it, one of those jamborees we see in other parties. It will be stemmed. However, my heart goes to those people that were gearing up for one position or another. Their time will come.
Yeah, quite frankly, I agree with you that the APC, especially right now under the leadership of the president, they're putting their houses a lot more in order, as opposed to our other brothers and sisters in other political parties. But we'll let it there. Daily Independent is talking about this inspection, Ibrahim, and the corruption-ridden Nigeria's vehicle inspections. Ibrahim, if you know, man, what happens behind the scenes really about the inspection of vehicles, I think it is time that they put their houses in order.
Yes, and it's so sad when you see that most attentions are usually placed on private car owners, and then you see all those vehicles, commercial vehicles, not being thoroughly checked. Some of them do not have headlamps. Yes. Some of them do not have good tires. I overheard a conversation. I can't really remember where, but these two guys were saying that someone bought tires, new tires, replaced it, and another person of a commercial driver took these tires and placed it in his own vehicle. Installed it in his own vehicle. And you can imagine, the lives that are already put in danger by that kind of commercial vehicle. So we need to extend it beyond private owners. We need to stop, this double standard or this hypocrisy. When you see police on the road, you see FRC on the road, you see LASMA on the road, and they are not doing their due diligence on some of these vehicles. You remember the brouhaha, that greeted the police, the tinted tinted glasses or something like that.
Issue that came up a few months ago,
before they suspended it and all of that. So we just have to do the right thing, not talking about, yes, we are going after private owners, we are not doing it, extending the same punishments to the commercial drivers.
You know, I've always wondered, Olamide, why exactly, is it that the commercial drivers carry juju?
No, some of those people in authority, they own some of these cars, so they can just put a phone call through. My vehicle has been seized, and then you hear, leave it.
That's why the headline mentioned corruption.
Right, because it's like you see a commercial driver, you cannot talk. You don't see a private person.
Absolutely, I think it goes back to the intrinsic Nigerian dilemma of we must always find a loophole. And we don't understand that these loopholes, they might seem very tiny, but they create craters. You have somebody that is driving around a commercial vehicle that, let's say, perhaps has for instance, a flammable substance like fuel, driving without headlamps, collides into 4 cars. The whole this thing is on fire. Then we come and carry it on news. This thing on fire. A tiny loophole creates a giant crater for each and every one of us. And I think that we fail to put that into consideration.
I couldn't agree more with you, Olamide. Well said. But the Guardian newspaper, Olamide, is talking this 5G matter here.
I don't think this tariff thing, this 5G thing, I don't even want to get into it because
you run on 5G.
I run on 5G, but what they're taking from me.
So you're just
among the rich Nigerians, because if you can't afford that kind of phone,
that kind of phone, man.
No, it all depends on the SIM you're using. If that SIM is 5G enabled, phones are 5G enabled, especially the new phones they're doing.
Exactly.
But the SIMs, they are majorly 4G enabled. Even the 4G, you're struggling in some areas. 3G, sometimes I always have to downgrade my phone to, my network connectivity to 3G because I'm struggling to get the signal. So the problem with this is the fact that they are touting 5G, and 5G the infrastructure is not there. All the telecommunication giants are not really, they are having it, but then now they are talking about 6G in Japan, in China, but we are still struggling with 4G that is not even there. If you go to the rural area, you can't even get out.
It's a classic system when it comes to data, because some people that are still using tiny phones, Nokia phones, we're now trying to classify data and make it so that only certain people can afford it. That is classist and it's elitist.
Well,
but we need 5G.
To also advance as a country technologically. We need to advance ahead.
But there should be a baseline for digital equity that everybody has access to.
My quarrel is why are we deceiving ourselves? Where the only level of G that we've taken care of is 3G. We're still struggling with 4G, and then we are pushing 5G. Is it a marketing strategy or what?
It is actually.
You are doing all the marketing, and we are the ones that are paying for your marketing bleeds, or so to say, and yet we're not getting the services that we're paying for. And
the breakdown gave, I would bring this to our attention right here. 2G has about 38.4%, 3G 7.13%, 4G 51.2%, 5G 3.27%. So, which talks about what you were referring to about earlier. But then, if you can afford it, go ahead with it. There's a baseline 2G. Everybody can have access to 2G. But if you can step your game up, your choice. But you pay for it.
Get the infrastructure in place before you start marketing. That's the message.
That is the
thing.
Get
the infrastructure in place before you start marketing. Don't stop giving us false hope. I don't think it's fair to anybody that uses a telephone in Nigeria.
Yeah, and Nelson, we can't talk about telemedicine without talking about 4G, 5G, because we need all of this to stay afloat the global trends. Do you understand? So we just have to put the necessary infrastructure in place, and we can't say government now. Private investors are doing this.
But the tariff that you pay on that 5G.
Yes, talking about the tariff.
Let it work
but
first.
I enjoy 4G. If it works optimally. Right.
Well, and that's where we go to the Sporting Live this morning. Jurick Lukman performs well as a striker, says Nigerian a complete player now. And of course, I wouldn't leave without reading something about my guy, Osimhen. Galatasaray. Osimhen could set new UEFA UCL record. Osimhen is on that lane to do that. But I think that's how far we can go on the newspaper review segment this morning. After the break, we'll shine a spotlight on the outcome of the recent APC Stakeholders Forum in Lagos State and the party's readiness for the 2027 election. Stay with us, everyone. We'll be back.